Hello, my name is Eric Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm talking about the obstacle of expectation. I had a great conversation with a good friend of mine, Ramesh, and this topic came up, and I was thinking, hey, this would be a good thing to talk about on the channel. But in prior videos, I've talked about how the mind can create these illusions and obstacles, for example, when you're being present or just trying to be mindful. And let's say you go outside your door and you pass a tree that you pass every morning when you leave the house. And because of how we label and tend to only look for that which changes, we don't even see the tree anymore. Something could have changed. Somebody might have even painted something on it. You might not even notice because you've labeled it as a tree I know, and in the mind, on at least subconscious level, and you walk right by it without even really seeing the tree. And kind of the same thing, but in reverse, is expectation. If we have an expectation of what we want to see, we not only don't see what doesn't fit this model, but we can only see kind of what fits the model often. And so what'll happen is, for example, I've used the example of looking versus seeing, like looking in the fridge for the ketchup. So let's say you look in the fridge for ketchup, because my wife says, hey, it's on the refrigerator door. And so I go in there and I'm looking. And if I have an expectation, because let's say there's a certain brand we usually use, and so the bottle should look a certain way, have a certain label, have certain colors for that brand. And so I'm looking for that. If she happened to buy a different kind of ketchup, a different brand, and a different bottle, there is a good chance I wouldn't see the ketchup. I'm in this example, basically having the expectation of this is what it should look like. As you're looking, if you don't see it, you won't, if you look and don't see that fitting model, it's like, as you're scanning, it's like, doesn't match, doesn't match, doesn't match. The brain is just tossing out everything. It doesn't match, doesn't match, doesn't match. And so you won't see it. And they may pull it out, and here is another big bottle of a thick red, paste that clearly says ketchup on the bottle. But that wasn't what you're looking for. You're looking for a different bottle with a different label. And the why this is relevant is because so many times spiritual seekers or those in the spiritual community will have an expectation. I will know I'm enlightened when X, Y, Z. There's this expectation. And so you have this model, this image in your head of this is what enlightenment is. This is what this is, what it would be like. And until you check all those boxes and you find that thing that fits the model perfectly, you will always doubt it. You'll always have also an idea of, is this it? This can't be it. Because I once had a conversation with somebody who came and visited me in my house. And things were looking pretty good, I think, for her in terms of, she was saying, hey, in my life, I had this seeing, identification not very strong anymore. Suffering's all but gone. I'm pretty content every day. I'm happy. But she still had this feeling of disappointment about her. And she basically says, but is this it? And I had to laugh because I said, you're telling me you're happy and you don't suffer. Is this it? Well, what more do you want? And as I asked her that, she kind of laughed and thought about it and saw it wasn't, there was this model she was trying to check off. There was something else in her that was saying, there's something else. And it was, and it may, and all spiritual seekers, if you have this idea of what it will be, Well, there's a good chance you don't really know what it's like. You're going off of secondhand knowledge, you're going off of books you've read, you're going off of teachers, what they've told you, and your estimates through conception of what you would think it would be like. And so the model may not be accurate. And so you've got this idea, this is what it'll be like. And then there's a good chance that when it does arise, you'll go, no, that can't be it. Because it doesn't fit your model. It doesn't fit the image you have in your head. That's the problem with expectations. As you have this expectation, this is what it'll look like, and it doesn't look like this. And so you're left wanting. You're left disappointed. You're left doubting. And it's purely because of what's in our head. It's our own expectations, which are often inaccurate. Because let's say you have the expectation, because I've heard people have this misconception. Let's say you have the expectation, well, after enlightenment, I will feel no pain. And so maybe they have this awakening, this enlightenment, and they notice, my back still hurts. And they go, well, this can't be it, because my back still hurts. Well, enlightenment doesn't mean you never feel pain again. And so the very fact you're holding this expectation means now you're denying what is happening because it's not fitting your expectation. And so it's something to be aware of, to be careful of. And this is going into more detail of the whys and wherefores, but really, I've said it more simply in other videos by just simply saying, give up your expectations. Whatever you think enlightenment will be like, give it up, throw it away. You won't know what it's really like till it happens. And the odds are good that your model, your expectations, what you think it'll be like is wrong. I mean, no butterfly comes out of the cocoon from being a caterpillar and goes, yeah, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be like. Never happens. The caterpillar goes in the cocoon and comes out, and the reaction is almost always, I never thought it'd be like this. That's just the nature of those kind of radical changes. And having that kind of shift in viewpoint and worldview and understanding that which enlightenment is, I don't think anyone really goes, yeah, this is exactly what I thought it would be like. I've never talked to one actually like that. Almost universally, even in my own experience, from the people I've talked to my own experience, there's always kind of an awe in the, I didn't think it would be like this. The expectations are only going to get in the way. And so yes, I would recommend throwing the expectations because they're wrong anyway. And you won't know till it happens what it's really like. And so throw away the checklists, throw away what you think it ought to be like or what it should be like, and just let it unfold. And this will let it unfold. And then in the seeing, because often I say enlightenment is a seeing. I mean, you can look, but the seeing is a grace. And if you're no longer holding this model, this image in your head of what it should be like, you may have a much greater chance of seeing what is as it really is. Now, the other thing is I mentioned very briefly at the beginning, that the model will also restrict it so you only see what does fit the model. And that's kind of the natural bias that humans have. So if you go into, let's say, a statistics scenario, and the statistics are kind of vague, which sometimes happens. If you go in with an idea of, this is what I want to see, if you've got an expectation, it is funny how your mind will be able to find the pattern. It may not be truly statistically correlative or even causal, but the brain will very often help you find a pattern that substantiates the model, the expectation that you're looking for. And in that way, much of the time, our expectation, what we expect to see, is exactly what we see, and we only see that. We don't see the grander We don't see the things outside that model, which is partially, I think, goes with the seeing more deeply. So, and being present and being mindful. Back to the tree, I go, part of it is learning to not be so superficial in our awareness, but to see beyond that, to really look at the tree as if it's the first time, and as it is the first time, you have no expectation. You're like, oh, what am I looking at here? What am I seeing? I don't know what to expect because I've never seen one of these before. With that frame of mind, you actually see much more. And so, likewise, if and when enlightenment arises, if you don't have a model that you're trying to check off, you'll actually see the more the grandeur of it, the stuff that lies outside the model. Otherwise, you'll only see what's in the model. And so those are two reasons why to get rid of the expectations. One, the expectations may form a filter of a sort and make it where you can't recognize what is in front of you, like a ketchup bottle being of a different brand or a different bottle shape, and you just can't see it because it's not fitting your expectations. And the other reason to let it go is, even if it does meet your expectations, you'll only see what fits your model. And so maybe it's the same brand and everything else, but maybe you weren't paying particularly close attention to the cap color or something. And so maybe the cap is an unusual color. Somebody switched it on you as a prank, and you just didn't see it because you saw what fit your model. Oh, it's that branding name. It's those brand colors on that label. It's that shape of bottle. Oh, the cap, I wasn't paying attention to that. That wasn't part of my model. And so you don't notice those changes because you didn't notice the change outside your model because you weren't looking for that. You're only looking for that which fits your model. And so it's an interesting thing about expectations. And so when it comes to spiritual seeking, enlightenment, let go of those expectations. They do not serve you. They only serve as obstacles, as hindrances, for both of those reasons. And actually, anytime you're trying to be present, fully aware, mindful, trying to see the truth, expectations get in the way for the exact same reasons. And so that's kind of what I'm covering today. If you got any questions, comments, please post below. And as always, thank you much.